Erev Tov. So we're in Mamar HaYikarim, and last week we spoke about Nevuah Moshe Rabbeinu, and this week we're up to page 183, which is about the Gula, about the redemption. Just before we start, I just thought there would be something interesting to talk about the last subject, about Nevuah, which the Ramchal here doesn't go into, but I saw it this week, and a very interesting topic in the Rambam. The Rambam wrote the Pirush HaMishnayos, a commentary on the Mishnayos, and in the beginning he wrote a long Hakdama, a long preface. And he doesn't talk about Afka Mishnah, he talks about the whole Torah, the Masorah, the tradition of the Torah, how the Torah was given over, and Torah Shebal Peh, the old tradition, and a very long commentary. A lot of you saw there's a lot of fundamental principles that he talks about over there. In between, he took a long time out to explain about prophecy, about Nevuah. And he gets into it by saying that prophecy doesn't have anything to do with understanding the Torah and learning out the halachos. If there's a question in halacha, Nevuah, prophecy, doesn't have anything to do with the subject. He's very colorful in the way that he presents it, and that's what I'd like to say a few paragraphs that he says. Once he got into the subject, he elaborates on what Nevuah is, which is our subject, but we'll take the Ramchal's summary of it. But he says, you should know that Nevuah doesn't benefit anything as far as studying the meaning of the Torah or learning out halachos with the Yud Gimel Midos, with the 13 ways of drasha. Whatever Yeshua and Pinchas would do is the same thing that Ravina and Ravashi does. It means he brings down Yeshua, the biggest Navi after Moshe, the first Navi after Moshe, and Pinchas, the first generation, and he says whatever Yeshua and Pinchas did is the same thing that Ravina and Ravashi, who had the last Amoraim, they did the same thing. They looked at the Torah and they studied the Torah. It means they didn't exercise their Nevuah capabilities in order to understand the Torah. The prophecy is not the tool you use to understand the Torah. But then he says, but you want to know what Nevuah is about? So he says it's one of the Chei Nafshi, like he swears, that is from the Yisodos HaGadolim, Batsumim, Shalem, Nishan, Adas, Yisodo. It's one of the basic principles, the fundamental principles, which Rambam himself listed in the 13 Ikrim, the 13 principles that he organized in order to say what are Ikarim, what are the fundamental principles. But his introduction is that as far as Torah, prophecy has nothing to do with studying the Torah. And then he goes on and on, many pages to explain what Nevuah is. And after that he says, there's such a thing called Harasha, that a Navi could come and say that temporarily Hashem made an emergency measure and a certain mitzvah is going to be suspended. And he gives an example of somebody, a Navi that comes and says that they're supposed to make a war, or make a fire and war, and being Chal Shabbos on a full scale. That would be an example, right? That would be an example of Haruah Shah. So everybody is mechuyev to be Mechal Shabbos according to the Haruah Shah. And he says if there's going to be a person who's going to say, I'm an old man, I never was Mechal Shabbos, I'm already so old, I never did any Aveira, and now I'm going to get up and be Mechal Shabbos. Yeah, other people here besides me, and they'll take care of it, and I'll just stand here and not be Mechal Shabbos. So he says that he's an Avaryon, he's transgressing the word of Hashem, and he's Chayv Misa B'dei Shamayim because he didn't listen to the Navi. The Navi said to be Mechal Shabbos, and he's not being Mechal Shabbos. That's an example of Haruah Shah, that he says that he's not arguing on the Torah. He's saying the Torah says you're not allowed to be Mechal Shabbos. But this is an emergency measure, and here it's supposed to be an exception. Hashem told me in Nevuah that this is Haruah Shah, so then everyone has to listen to him, and if someone doesn't, so then he is over Al Divrei HaNavi, and he's Chayv Misa B'dei Shamayim, Chayv death penalty, heavenly death penalty. Then he goes on and says, and somebody who on that Shabbos, that the Mechal Shabbos the whole day, but he's going to make a Kesher Shel Kayam, he'll make a knot, like a small malacha that seems like nothing. He's Chayv Misa, because the Navi didn't say to Mechal Shabbos for making knots. He just said, go to war and make fire and shoot guns and kill people. That's all what the Navi said as far as the Haruah Shah. He didn't take away Shabbos at all. Then he continues, but if the Navi would say that Chum Shabbos, we know that the border, how much you're allowed to go for Shabbos is 2,000 amas. If he's going to say Al Pi Nevuah, it's 2,001, or 1,999, instead of saying changing the halacha, so then he's a Navi Sheker, he's a false prophet, and he is chayiv death penalty of strangulation. And he says the so too with anything that a Navi says. Whenever you find in the Torah that in the Navi that he says something against the mitzvah, it's all based on this principle of Haruah Shah, of an emergency measure. But as far as back to the subject, but as far as studying the Torah and investigating the dinim, he's like any other chacham. That's not a Navi. And if he says some kind of commentary, and somebody who's not a Navi says a different commentary, and the Navi is going to say that this commentary was told to me by Hashem, you don't listen to him. And even if you have 1,000 prophets on the level of Eliyahu and Elisha, that said a certain commentary, a certain parshanut, and you have 1,001 chachamim that are not neviim that say a different shot. You go with the robe. You go 1,001 against 1,000, and you don't care that they're prophets.
Just that, the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and everybody else.
Moshe Rabbeinu is not a question of fact. Moshe Rabbeinu said in the word, he says that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't change any Torah. He gave us the Torah. He gave us the Torah. But from then on, you can't change the Torah, and anybody, and no Navi could come. And if he comes to change the Torah, not as an emergency measure, not a harasha, but to say a pshat in the Torah or permanent change in the Torah, then he's a Navi Sheker, and he says, it's so beautiful how he says it.
What? He says that came to him as
and on the contrary, if he says it came to him in a Nevuah, then we're going to kill him. He's also Bechenek. Yeah. He says that, if he says that I think so, the Navi has a Navi hat, and he has a Talmud Chacham hat. So if he comes into the Beis Medrash, he takes off his Navi hat, leaves it outside, nothing to do with Nevuah. Now, just because he's Talmud Chacham, and he doesn't have any privileges or no higher level because he happens to be a Navi also. And the Beis Medrash only has to do with Sfara and sit down like everybody else. And we go with the rope. And even if you have great prophets, but when they're in the Beis Medrash, it's only because of the logic that they're going to say how to extrapolate the dinim like anybody else would do. And Nevuah, prophecy doesn't play a role in studying the Torah, just in everything else that he says, which we skipped over here. And that was last week's discussion about what prophecy is. I just thought it would be nice to just say prophecy is not. That prophecy is not anything to do about extracting the laws of the Torah. This was Pirush HaMishnayos LaRambam. This is the Rambam's introduction to his commentary on the Mishnah. Very beautiful essay, and has a lot of subjects. This is one point that he talks about in Nevuah. So up to page 183, and the subject is about Geula. This is Mamar Ikorim. It's the Ramchal's, so to speak, 13 principles. He doesn't have 13, he has 10 over here. But we said that some of them are combined. Probably it's going to be corresponding to all of the Rambam's 13. So we're up to the subject of Geula, redemption. And he's going to explain 2 points. One is going to be about Mashiach and also about Tchias HaMesim, which the Rambam in the list of 13 divides it into 2. So here is combined into one essay about Geula. He calls it, the title is Gaba Geula, and that we're going to see includes the subject of Mashiach and then the subject of Tchias HaMesim. We'll see if we'll do it all tonight. It's pretty long. It's longer than the other essays we've had till now. But we'll see either tonight or also next week. Hinei mivchar min hanoshi hu Yisrael. The select of the humankind is Am Yisrael. V'hu am hamutadim l'dveikus bo yisborach. They are the nation that are destined to the cleaving to Hashem. Means the purpose of creation was that mankind in general, mankind should cleave to Hashem. That's the ultimate reason of our creation, that we should be able to have that benefit and enjoyment and perfection of being close to Hashem. So Am Yisrael is that nation. He doesn't speak over here why that happened. Originally it was all mankind, but because of the sin of Adam HaRishon, so the rest of mankind lost it, and only Avraham is the one who stepped forward to become the one able to be the first man. And Am Yisrael are his descendants who are Zocha because of him to become that destination. So again, Am Yisrael is the select of the humankind, and they are the nation that are destined to cleave to Hashem. And they are fitting that they should be crowned with many crowns of a great holiness. Holiness means again an emanation of Hashem, connection to Hashem. And Hashem is, how would you translate the word Shechina? His presence. Eminence, a presence, divine presence should be residing on them and clinging to them. That'll cause their perfection until to the level that they are zocha to the true good, which is to be connected to Him. So the purpose of the world is to be connected to Hashem, and Am Yisrael is that nation that's destined to have that, and they have to be roy in the way that the Shekhinah should be clinging to them. Now he's going to say a purpose. We would think that each person is on his own. One might think that each person is on his own. He has to get his own shleimus, and he's part of Am Yisrael, but each person is on his own. So there's going to be a paragraph to explain that no, there's something about the klal. Each person is a yachad, but also it starts off first being part of the whole, Am Yisrael as a whole. You must know that even though this true good, means the good of being close to Hashem, is acquired from each individual on his own, according to his actions. It's not a group rate. It goes each person according to himself. No person is going to merit other than he deserves, according to what he did. But omnam ein klal habriya mishtalem ad shetesuda klal haumah hamnevcheres b'seder nachon. But the whole of creation cannot be perfected until the chosen nation, Am Yisrael, is organized properly in everything that is supposed to be their perfection as a nation, as a whole. And that nation of Am Yisrael is going to be perfected with all of her crowns, whatever shleimuyot, whatever perfections are necessary for that nation, Am Yisrael. And the Shekhinah is going to be cleaving to the nation as a whole. And then the rest of the world is going also to reach their perfection. Means besides Am Yisrael, the Goyim also, we'll see later on, they also have a level of perfection that they can get as a tafel to Am Yisrael.
Through Am Yisrael or on their own?
It's going to be through Am Yisrael. They're going to be David. We'll see later on. It talks about that they're going to be nitzpal to Am Yisrael. It's going to be through via Am Yisrael that the kedusha that the other nations are zochah to on their level, which is not the same as Am Yisrael, but has to go through Am Yisrael. Then after the nation as a whole is perfected on the level they're supposed to come to as the chosen nation, then each of the individuals, the pratim, all of the individuals of Am Yisrael, then each one will get according to what he deserves. So this paragraph was saying that even though there is an individual basis, that each person only gets what he deserves, but it's only after the nation as a whole first got their shleimus as a whole. And then each person will get what he deserves as a yachid.
The shleimus by the whole, isn't it by each one person, not makes it one whole together?
I think so, but first the point is that seems to be true, that the shleimus of the nation is made up of the individuals. There is no whole that's besides the individuals. The whole, like you have a minyan. A minyan is made up out of 10 individuals, but you can talk of them as the minyan, as the quorum, and then you can talk about each individual person on his own. So first there has to be a certain shleimus that the nation attains as a nation. Of course, it's made up of the individuals who are part of that nation, and then once the nation is zocha on its level, so then each individual will get what he deserves. And now he says that it hasn't happened yet. In history, this has not yet happened. Am Yisrael has not come to their perfection. From the beginning of creation until now, it has not yet happened. Am Yisrael has not come to that perfection that they're supposed to. Because as soon as man was created, he sinned. The first man sinned. And then even though Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov started rectifying the problem and coming back, but it still did not happen as a full nation. And even though afterwards the avos, the patriarchs, they started, and their children drew on after them to become the chosen nation, but it still has never been perfected properly. They haven't come to that shleimus of what Am Yisrael is supposed to be as a nation. Because of different sins that caused them to be reverted back from the perfect rectification. There's supposed to be a certain level that the world comes to, Tikkun HaShalom, and it hasn't happened yet. But it has to happen. We have to come to that perfection that Am Yisrael should be perfected. That the nation should be perfected in all of the necessary conditions. And then afterwards, once Am Yisrael is perfected, then the rest of the world, the rest of creation will be perfected. And then the world will be fixed in its proper state. Then the tzaddikim are going to be fixed in their eternal enjoyment. Olam haba will call it. And then each person will be enjoying it according to his actions.
But it's the individuals. It sounds more like the nation's going to become whole, the shleimus of the nation, and somehow the individuals. It seems you have to start with the individuals.
But it was pointed out that the nation is made up of individuals. That's true. But we're not looking at them as individual, on each one on their own. We're looking at them as individuals who are part of a nation. What the nation is concerned, the nation has to become perfect. Of course, the nation is made up of individual people. But first has to be the shleimus that the nation as a whole became perfected, and then each Yachid will be able to attain the level of reward he's supposed to get.
But it seems backwards. How can you have the nation become whole if the individuals are...
Yes, true. I agree that it's going to be because the individuals are perfected. But we're not looking at them as individuals, we're looking at them as the pieces that they are that form the whole.
But once they're whole, once they're correct, then they can be brought to the nation. But if they're not, if they are flawed, they're going to bring a flaw to this nation? I'm not.
No, I agree that it's going to be the perfection of the nation is going to be the perfection of the individual. But as far as receiving the reward, they're not able to receive the reward until after the nation is first fixed up.
Okay, so all the individuals have to become perfect, then they become part of the nation, which will be worthy of the reward, and then their reward will come.
That's what it seems. That's what it seems.
Which means the reward won't be on Olam Hazeh and not Olam Haba.
He's going to talk about Moshe Mashiach and then Olam Haba, two stages of what we're talking about.
Maybe the part of a person becoming whole is him aiming to be part of the klal. If he can't be part of the, if that's not his focus, be part of the klal, then he can never be whole himself individually.
It's an interesting.
It's true that a person has to see himself as part of that picture of Am Yisrael. He can't see himself only as he can't be shalom on his own. Each person doesn't have each person has different koach, different chunot, different temperament, different situation in life, different tests, and he has to perfect himself. Then he has to realize that he needs everybody else also to be perfected. Even if theoretically, what will come out of this is even if a person. What I think the point he's driving at is even if a person would be perfect, he'd be a tzaddik gomor. He did his job perfectly. That's not enough. He's not ready to cash in, so to speak. It has to be that the whole nation is ready. It is not enough that one person is ready. He's not going to get his reward yet. He might be waiting for everybody else to finish up. But the point is that you can't even have the individual getting his reward until the nation as a whole is going to be perfected.
So all the people who lived from the beginning of time, all the Jews who lived, they're held in a holding pattern,
right? Which
until
we said
the nation becomes
whole. Right, and that he said earlier. That's what we called Gan Eden. Gan Eden doesn't mean Olam Haba. Gan Eden means the place only for the neshama. And that's waiting until it's going to be Tchias HaMesim, which is going to be the eternal, which we're going to get to soon. But now he's still talking about in this world, yes?
And there you get
So he's first going to say what Moshe Mashiach is all about, then he's going to say what Tchias HaMesim. The ultimate reward is Tchias HaMesim, that's true. And that was spoken about earlier when he spoke about Olam HaNeshama. So he said that there's Olam HaTchiyah. He mentioned this in the earlier essay, when he said the difference between Olam HaNeshama, which is only for the Neshama, only for the soul, and not for the Guf. And then that's only temporary until there's Tchias HaMesim, which is Olam Haba, which is going to be for eternity, and that's going to be when the nation is all ready, and then each person is going to get what he deserves. I think it'll become more clear as we go on. Maybe some questions, but everyone's welcome to ask questions in the middle. But as I was saying, there might be some more clarity as we go on.
So you have to have Olam Haba. Everybody has to go to Olam Haba to be held there.
Olam Haba is permanent. Olam Haba is not a temporary. You say Gan Eden. That's only for the neshama. When a person dies during the 6,000 years, so then the neshama and the guf are separated. The neshama is waiting in Gan Eden. If it's zocha, if it has to temporarily gehenim in order to be cleansed out, and then if he's zocha, the neshama will go to Gan Eden. The guf is waiting in the kever or being disintegrated until that final time when this is going to come. And now he goes in to explain first Yemos HaMashiach. V'nei shita alfei shana, page 184 or whatever edition you have. V'nei shita alfei shana hagbil la'chochma al-yona la'avodas b'nei adam v'shtadlusam ala shleimus. The supreme wisdom, chochma Hashem, supreme wisdom, decreed or limited 6,000 years for the service of people and their effort towards getting this perfection. So the time of our avoda is the 6,000 years. This is a Gemara in a few places that says that shita alfei shnei havi alma, the world is of this world is 6,000 years. So we're pretty close to the end. And afterwards the world is going to be renewed to a different form. And that's going to be Olam Haba, which we call the world to come. To come is in time. It doesn't mean a different place, so to speak. We once spoke about this, that the world to come we shouldn't look at it as a different planet. We should look at it as the world of the future. Olam Haba. You have Olam Hazeh, which means the present, and then the world to come. What? The upcoming world. So it doesn't necessarily mean a different place. It's going to be the same place, as we're going to see soon, that there's going to be an elevation of the same world. Chidush Olam is going to be, they say renovated, but it's the same world. It's going to be elevated on a very ruchani level. That's nothing that we recognize now. But it's going to be the same world that's going to be elevated. I think it's just good to keep that in mind. So there's a certain time, 6,000 years, that the people are supposed to be exerting effort to accomplish. And then the world is going to be renewed in a different form. And it'll be fitting for what's supposed to be done with it. It means the world now is a perfect world, as we said. It's a perfect obstacle course. You can say that, is the world perfect? You see very many imperfections, but the answer is it's a perfect obstacle course. That's what it's supposed to be. And then afterwards it's going to be a perfect world to come, which means the afterwards it's going to become in the new form, it's going to be fitting for what it's supposed to be, which is the eternal enjoyment for those that merit to be there. That is the limit of the 6,000 years for the work, and then after 6,000 years is going to be the transformation and the sachar, and then the reward. And before this 6,000 is over, now he's talking about Yemos HaMashiach. Yemos HaMashiach is in this world, in the physical world as we are, not in Olam Haba. Yemos HaMashiach is within the 6,000 years. So before the 6,000 is over, the chosen nation, that's Am Yisrael, has to be in their complete state. They have to be perfected. Not that they're yet in the state of Olam Haba, of the reward, but they have to become to the state of perfection, that it should be able to be transformed from that state of perfection in this world to what's supposed to be for eternity in Olam Haba. This is what we were promised that it's going to be in any case. Means Hashem promised that that's going to be. Hashem said this is going to be. It's not dependent on maybe if, and as the Christians say that we lost it. This Hashem has promised many times in the Navi that it's going to happen in the Torah also.
If you're not ready,
Hashem says it's going to be ready. Hashem's going to make sure that it's going to be ready. Yeah, He's going to take responsibility that it should be ready. What? Right, right. Each individual is not promised, but the Klal Yisrael is going to become mishtalim, and each individual has the opportunity to be part of that Klal.
Is for sure going to be part of the Klal?
Is each individual that no? Each person could forfeit his chelik. Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelik l'olam haba, ve'elu she'en lehem chelik l'olam haba. So a person has to make sure, as Rabbi Miller says, not to lose his ticket.
That's the answer to his question of how we start with the Klal. The Klal is start with individuals.
So the Klal is made up of individuals, but not every individual. Not every individual.
Only there'll be a certain part which will be.
That's called the Am. The point he was talking about before, I think, was, as we said, that the individual can't get his until after the nation. But you're saying another point, that not every individual is going to be there. But his point is to say that the klal has to be perfected before the individual could get his schar. So this perfection of the nation as a whole has to happen within the 6,000 years, and it's going to be through a person. The medium for this perfection is going to be somebody from the seed of David. That the Master Hashem is going to choose him for this purpose. He's going to help him that he should be successful in his mission. That's the anointed king. The word Melech HaMashiach means the anointed king. Mashiach means anointed. And that's Mashiach ben David. That's the anointed king from Zerah David. He's a human being that is from the seed of David. And he's the one who's going to be the medium to bring Am Yisrael to their perfection in this world. And it's still going to be continuing in this world. There's going to be a Tkufa, there's going to be a era of Yemos HaMashiach. In his time, and through him, through this Melech HaMashiach, Am Yisrael is going to be very perfected, and the whole of creation following. That Am Yisrael is going to be perfected, and following them is going to be the rest of creation. The good is going to be increased in all ways. And the evil is going to be completely removed. Both that which applies to the soul, means ruchani, spiritual, and both that which applies to the physical. And he explains, what does that mean? First talks about the spiritual, and then about the physical. Everything's going to be perfected during the days of Mashiach. The stone heart, means people that have a stone heart and nothing goes in. They're not sensitive to any spirituality. It's a stone heart. So it's going to become a fleshy heart. It's going to be means it's going to be able to absorb it. This is paraphrasing Psukim in the Navi, that Hashem is going to change the Leiv Basar, Leiv Evan, to become a Leiv Basar. For who? What does that mean? That it's going to become a Leiv Basar? It's going to be strengthened in people the inclination towards good. Right now, before this happens, people are inclined very much to do bad. In the beginning, it might have been a 50-50, but once a man sinned, so then the scale was tilted and became more of an inclination to do bad. And it's a harder fight against the Yetzer Hara.
But we're talking about people in the days of Mashiach who
Yes.
are different than us. We're not, I mean...
We'll be there soon, but it's not there yet. This is right. This is the inclination.
So all the people who were born and passed through...
They're not going to be during Yemos HaMashiach. Yemos HaMashiach is going to be for living people.
It's new people.
What?
It'll be new people.
What do we new people? The people that are going to live at that kufa. If it's going to happen in our days.
But not the ones who have
Not the one, right.
The ones who have passed are in Gan Eden.
And they're waiting for Tchias HaMesim.
Right. And so they're not going to go through this experience.
Right. They might be conscious of it, maybe in Olam Haba, in where they are, in Gan Eden, what's happening to Am Yisrael, but they're not going to be experiencing it. There is a Medrash someplace that says know where it is, but I've seen it quoted that there might be a Tchias HaMesim for tzaddikim earlier than the full Tchias HaMesim, that they might be able to be zocha to this era also. But I don't think it's mentioned in the Gemara. I don't think it's a medrash someplace. I don't know if it's taken literally. I don't know how to understand it. But there is such a medrash that certain great tzaddikim will be zocha to an earlier Tchias HaMesim, to be able to be part of the Moshe Mashiach. But the simple pshat would be that those that are living at that time are going to experience this fulfillment of Am Yisrael coming to their perfection. That people will have an inclination towards good, a natural inclination towards good. They won't be drawn after the physicality, means the physical part of the world which is distance from Hashem, just physical, not realizing that Hashem is there. They're going to be drawn towards Hashem. They're going to be drawn constantly towards Avodas Hashem and Torah and get stronger and stronger.
Where's their perfection? Where's their chira?
So it so far sounds like you don't have free choice anymore. If it sounds like this, it sounds like it's already not anymore they're doing. But there's going to be a line later on that's going to say there still is avoda. It seems that during Yom Mashiach there still is a amount of free will, but we were zocha because of everything we went through till we came to that level of Yom Mashiach, that we're zocha not to fall back anymore. It means after Yom Mashiach there's not going to be any falling back, no bad choices that are going to make us reverse again. Because of it's also going to be in the chusah, in the merit of what we did. We deserve to get so far with no return back to that high level. But there's still going to be avodas Hashem es mashma. There's still going to be a choice. But here it says there's going to be a natural inclination towards the good. Now that was the spiritual elevation that's going to be in the days of Mashiach. And he said also that's going to be for the guf also a physical level. So corresponding to the goodness of on the spiritual level. Tirbe hashalva v'haravacha. There's also going to be tranquility and prosperity. V'lo yimatzu nezokim v'lo avseidim klal. There's not going to be any damages and no losses on a physical level. V'u ma'aseh avtichu hanavim. That's what the prophets promised. V'lo pasuk in Yeshaya. V'lo yirei v'lo ashchisa b'chol har kashi. They're not going to do evil or destruction. There's not going to be, on a physical level, there's not going to be evil. And then he goes back, I think, again to the spiritual. I don't know why he organized it this way. V'lo yasichlas ba'olam. There's not going to be foolishness. Means right now, there's a lot of foolishness. People don't know the truth. There's not going to be any more foolishness in the world. Everybody's going to be full of wisdom. Everyone's going to be poured out for everybody to have Ruach HaKodesh. This connection we spoke about last week about Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah. Eshbach Ruchi al Kol Basar, that Hashem says, he says it means the pasuk, everyone's going to merit the Ruach HaKodesh without difficulty. That's the Navi says in Yoel, I'm going to pour out my spirit on all flesh. That's a delicious description. Everyone's going to be rejoicing and exulting in the abundance of good. While they're being cleaving to Hashem. This is the words I was looking for. They're going to be serving a perfect service. So it sounds like a service still. If it would be without Bechira, you wouldn't call it an avoda. It just would be schar. But he still says it's called olam avoda. It means, he said at the beginning that the avodas b'nei adam is 6,000 years. Including that has to be the perfection. So it's going to be a perfect service. It would have a lot of benefit. It's going to be a perfect world. But it's still going to be serving Hashem, and it seems it's going to be Bechira. We're going to still doing, it's not yet the schar, it's still olam avoda.
But it's all the new people.
What does the new people mean? The people at the time of Mashiach, the people who live not the ones who passed through, not the ones that are going to be revived. The people that are living at the time.
So
Could be us.
No, but you have to look at Am Yisrael as a nation. You're looking at people as individuals again. You have to look at Am Yisrael as a nation. Am Yisrael, over 6,000 years, they came to their perfection. It doesn't make a difference if somebody died before. Am Yisrael, he's part of Am Yisrael. The person who died 1,000 years ago is also part of that nation. A nation that came to their perfection. And then, eventually get to Tchias HaMesim, and he's going to be benefiting in eternity. But it has to be Am Yisrael.
The ones who pass through will be brought into this system.
So they're not going to be in this world, probably. That's not the point. They'll be in this world, but they're going to benefit at the end when Am Yisrael got perfected, and they finished off the 6,000 years in perfection. So then the next stage of Tchias HaMesim, then all the souls that have been existing since the beginning of time of Am Yisrael will be brought into the Tchias HaMesim. But so it's not relevant if they're going to be actually experiencing it as a living person. But Am Yisrael, they're part of Am Yisrael, and Am Yisrael came to perfection. And through this they'll become elevated more and more. It means the Am Yisrael that will be serving Hashem in that perfect avoda they'll be elevated higher and higher. Until they come to the state of perfection that they're supposed to come to, and now they're ready to be transformed into the permanent world, which is going to be Tchias HaMesim. In order to pass on from there, to be transformed to the state of eternity in the renewal of the world. We said that there's a world of 6,000 years, then there's a renewal, and that's called Chiddush Olam. That happens, that's going to happen into eternity. There's a printing mistake in the regular SFARim and the regular editions, and I don't know how it happened, but in the sources, we have to skip to the paragraph on the next page that starts V'hinei b'umos ha'olam. It's not readable the way it is. It's out of order. You have to take that paragraph and insert it over here. So if you look 2 paragraphs ahead, 3 paragraphs, V'hinei b'umos ha'olam, that whole paragraph, about 10 lines, has to be how do you say? Cut and paste. You have to cut it out and paste it over here. And it's just a mistake. It's not a pshat. It's just. I didn't see others, but I saw Rav Spinner. He has an addition from the Ksav Yad. Then he says it's a mistake. And also when you read it, it doesn't read so well. So that's the hint. That's the secret over here to transform that paragraph. So we'll continue and then we'll come back again. So he spoke about Yemos HaMashiach. Am Yisrael is supposed to come to their perfection, and they'll be still serving Hashem, but it'll be a state of both spiritual and physical perfection. And he says, Ruach HaKodesh, Ruach Al-Kol Basar, everyone will be jubilant, serving Hashem in a perfect world. Now he talks about the Goyim. What are going to be about the Goyim at that time? By the nations of the world, there's going to be a big selection of those that are going to be around at that time, at the time of Yemos HaMashiach. If you read it straight, it's going to be talking about Tchias HaMesim. It's very confusing.
There's a Beis Hamikdash. There'll be already Beis Hamikdash.
During the Yemos HaMashiach will be a Beis Hamikdash. It's going to be before, after, during. But surely during Yemos HaMashiach, it's surely going to be a Beis Hamikdash. So what's going to be with the Goyim? What's going to be with the nations of the world? So there's going to be a big selection. It's interesting to guess which ones are going to be the ones that are going to be left. Now you look around; it's very difficult. Who's going to be there?
It wouldn't be just individuals.
No, nations. Here we're talking about nations.
Individuals from the nation.
I don't think so. Here it talks about nations. I doesn't say individuals. I think right now he's talking about as a nation. Which nation voted in the UN? When you look around, I don't know who's going to be. Who's going to be left? So he says, as the nations of the world, there's going to be a big selection. The simple words seem to say as nations, not about individual goyim. So the nations of the world is going to be a great selection. Those that are going to be around at that time. Osam shekefi amishpat ha'elyon yiruyim l'kloya. Those that, according to the supreme judgment, are deserving of destruction, will be destroyed. Yishamdu b'cherev b'dever b'chol minei anashim. They'll be destroyed with sword and pestilence and all kinds of punishments. And those that are deserving to be saved, and those nations, v'osam sheyu ruim linasel, and those nations that are deserving to be saved, they'll be saved. Yinaslu v'yisharu, they will be saved and remain. V'yakiru b'emes, they'll recognize the truth. V'yazvu el ileihem, and they will forsake all of their false idols, gods, whatever else they serve. V'yishtabdu l'Yisrael, they'll subjugate themselves to Am Yisrael. But not they'll be subjugated, that will be forcing them. They're going to realize that is their glory, to be nichna, to be humble before Am Yisrael. V'yelhem l'teferes, there's such words. V'yelhem l'teferes avodas Yisrael v'sharei Yisrael. It's going to be for them a glory to serve Am Yisrael. Because they're going to recognize and know that through Am Yisrael, they're going to get what's possible for them to get from Hashem's Kedusha and the light of Hashem. So it means here he says that the way that the Goyim could receive any kind of influence from Hashem is only through Am Yisrael, and they're going to consider it a glory to be able to serve, to be subjugated and serve Am Yisrael. The whole world, the entire world, means the ones that are destroyed, they're destroyed, and the ones that are going to be left are going to recognize the truth and gladly serve Am Yisrael in order to be connected to Hashem. So the world completely is going to be drawn towards the service of Hashem. There's not going to be any kind of avodah zarah, not Christianity, not Islam, not anything, not all the pagans, not all the Eastern cultures. Everyone's going to know Hashem. It's impossible. It's impossible to even imagine it. But there's not going to be any kind of service to any deity, only everyone's going to know Hashem Echad U'Shemo Echad. Fum Hashem Ha'Navi, because that's what the Navi says, I'm going to change over for all the nations to have a clear language, means the language is going to be the language of Hashem, they're all going to speak about Hashem. On that day Hashem is going to be one and his name one. That's the Yeshivas Mashiach in this world. That's still in the day within the 6,000.
Donald Trump is going to move the embassy to Jerusalem, so to say.
Now we can jump back.
I'm not sure America is going to exist anymore. Okay, so sure.
Well, we're making the biggest undertaking, a leap of faith.
But by the government, the nation will be like by us. Everybody will be looked up by himself, or it's the nation. Everybody is in the nations and the nations.
I mean, if the nation as a whole is going to merit to be on the good side or the bad side, so then it seems you don't. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like I don't know. I really don't know. I can't say more than it says here. The question would be if you have tzaddik, a chassid yomas ha'olam that lives in a nation of Rishon, so he'll be picked. I imagine he'll be picked out and be saved, but the nation is going to be that nation is going to be destroyed. And if you have on the other hand, if you're going to have a nation of righteous people, and there are going to be some individuals over there that are not deserving, I imagine that they're going to be destroyed. But there's a point here of nations. If I'm reading it right,
we have a concept of 70 nations.
Right.
So
how is it possible that not all the 70 nations are going to remain? There's going to be something missing that's inherent in the Bria, that there are 70. How is it possible?
Could be there will be 70 nations.
Could be there will be 70. It also means all 70 will be Zocha. Nowadays there are many more nations, but if we look back at the Yichus, we don't know the Yichus, but the Yichus has.
How do you determine what's a nation?
So in the 70, that's what the Torah says. In Parshas Noach it has listed the 70 nations.
What makes them that they have their own government, or it's a certain nationality, like the North Koreans and South Koreans could be one nation?
Mm-hmm. So nowadays, if we go back to the 70s, so then it shouldn't make a difference what nowadays they call a nation. Every person has a yichus, and even though we don't know that lineage, but each person has a lineage. Depends if you have two nations that married each other. So the Gemara says by the goyim, I think it goes with the male. So then the son is going to be from Put to Chana, whatever it's going to be, back to the 70 of Parshas Noach. But then there'd be a big mix-up amongst the nations nowadays because they intermarried the whole time over the years, and you don't have any more a certain nation. And it says, so is he referring to the nations that of the 70, or is he referring to the nations of today? And then it's a different division altogether. I don't know. I'm just trying to read the words here. I don't have any other information from other places. So if we could jump back to where we left off. So this paragraph, the beauty of transposing this paragraph is because if you read it the way it's printed, it sounds like he's talking about Chias HaMesim over there, and it doesn't fit in the way it's printed. But he's really talking about Yeshivas Mashiach, and that makes sense that the Goyim, he just explained what the role of the Goyim is going to be during the days of Mashiach. So then we continue, now from this point on, he's going to continue talking about Chias HaMesim. Till now we spoke about Yeshivas Mashiach, and now he's going to speak about Chias HaMesim. Chias HaMesim means that the same way it says in Bereshis that originally man was not supposed to die. If he would have done what he's supposed to, it wouldn't have been necessary to die. He would have passed the test and would have been elevated higher and higher until he's roy for eternity. But because he sinned, so besides the fact that most of mankind went down the level that not able to come to that level anymore, and there was a plan B for them. But we spoke about the Goyim, and only Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak and Yaakov, they're the ones who produced the nation that's going to be the original plan. Besides all that, even those that are meriting, the Am Yisrael that is meriting to be the original plan, but it's not possible in the form that we are. It means that we got ruined in a way, the guf got ruined in a way that it's not possible to be fixed up. It has to go in for an overhaul, and that's called Chias HaMesim, that it's necessary to die and then to be revived again. All living have to die. It's not possible to go into the state of eternity in the same guf that we are. It's not, the guf is not able to be elevated to the state that it can go on to eternity. It has to die and disintegrate, at least a small time. It doesn't say for how long. Some people have been in the decomposed state for many years, right? 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. But everybody has to, at least a small time has to be in the transformation of death and then becoming revived. At least the Shach is called in Chias HaMesim. And then they're going to be revived. Those that are deserving to be revived, to get up again for Chias HaMesim. First he starts off that everyone gets up. He says a second ago, those that are deserving. Now he says everybody's going to arise in Tchias HaMesim. And the wicked that have sinned in their lifetime and were not yet punished enough to fulfill for their punishment. They might have been punished somewhat in this world, but it wasn't completely what they needed. The anshu was karoil, and then they're going to be punished what's they're deserving. It could be after they're punished. It could be that they still, because of their punishment, they might have gotten cleansed out and purged, and then they might be eligible to have Tchias HaMesim. After that revival of Tchias HaMesim, there's going to be the great day of judgment, or the judgment. How does it go? Yom Adin HaGadol, the day of the great judgment. Hashem is going to judge everybody. It seems tzaddikim rishonim. Hashem is going to judge those that are fitting to remain for eternity, and those that are fitting to be destroyed, and not going to be zocha to that eternity. Those that are fitting to be punished, they'll be punished what they deserve, and then they'll be destroyed. Not just destruction. First, they are different rishon. That both of them don't deserve for the eternal afterlife, but one did much worse. It's not just going to be that Hitler is just going to disintegrate. It has to be that he should be punished for everything that he did. So first they're going to be punished what's coming to them, and then they're going to be destroyed. And those that are deserving to remain, those that are deserving to remain for eternity. I'm sorry?
These are even non-Jews that he's saying tzaddikim Hashem, or he means just from Klal Yisrael?
As far as Goyim in Tchias HaMesim, he doesn't talk. I think he doesn't talk about it over here, but in Derech Hashem, he spoke about this subject in short, that they only could be nitpal tam Yisrael, the Goyim that deserve, the Goyim as individuals that deserve. They're not going to be any nations.
Deserve wouldn't come back. So this is saying that the Rishonim and Tzaddikim.
I don't know. I don't know. I would think so, but even if you say it's talking about the Goyim also, so then when he says that the Ruim Lishoer, so over there he says they're not going to be as an independent entity, the Goyim in Olam Haba, they'll be only Nitpal Tam Yisrael. Those Tzaddikim that are Chasidim Olam, they're going to remain in Olam Haba, it seems, but only as a level of Lavush Tam Yisrael. But I can't say more than that. And those that are deserving to remain, those that are deserve to remain for eternity, they're going to remain on the level that they deserve. Means it isn't that once you get into the hall, to the banquet hall of Olam Haba, everyone just find a seat. Everyone has a different seat. There's going to be each person according to what he deserves in Olam Haba. There's a certain minimum that you have entrance at all, but even once you have entrance, each person only gets according to what he deserves.
But somebody who passed away 1,000 years ago was in the Gehenna. It was cleaned up for 1,000 years.
It doesn't necessarily. No, it doesn't have to be 1,000 years he cleaned up. It could be that, like the Gemara says, Mishpat Rishon Began was Yud Beis Chodesh, 12 months, and after that, the Neshama then can go to Gan Eden and waiting for.
That's fine, but that one who passed away
yes.
an hour before the Tchias HaMesim, he doesn't have the time for the 500 years or whatever. The 12
so I think that again doesn't. If someone has to get cleaned out, so anybody that has to be purged in Gehenna, so the time factor is not such an issue. Hashem could do that in as much time as the same punishment could come in a shorter time. To be cleansed out could be not a time issue. I think that the people who passed away long ago doesn't mean that they've been in Gehenna the whole time. It could be a short time, and then it says that.
To be cleaned up.
Right. Again, so it seems that time wouldn't be a factor. So now we skipped it because the next paragraph, because we did it already. After those who are fitting to remain for eternity are already prepared. Each one in his level means everyone's ready for Olam Haba. Just like you have to have Tchias HaMesim on the people, it also has to be Tchias HaMesim on the world. It means the world also. He said it before. He said it at other places that the world also has to have a Tchias HaMesim. It has to have a Misa, a Chorban Olam, and then Yibana Michadash. It has to have a Chiddush Olam. The world also has to be revised.
The world meaning
this planet.
Not the constellations. They didn't do anything.
They're probably serving us. They serve this world. They're also necessary. We don't always know what they serve, how it is. But it means the world that we are, the Olam Hazeh has to be transformed into Olam Haba. It's a fascinating concept that Olam Haba is not someplace else. Olam Haba is here, but it's transformed here. And our mitzvahs and Ma'asim Tovim, they are going to be the energy that's going to transform them. It means if it wouldn't be for the Chet, of Adam Arishan, in the same way that man will be transforming himself constantly. As a person would be doing mitzvahs, you'd look at a person before Sfiras Omer and after Sfiras Omer, you'd see a different person. He became more consecrated, more holy, and you'd see it on him. Nowadays, because of the sin of Adam Arishan, you don't see any effect. It's just because it's only potential, that he's potentially energized because but you don't see the result because the guf is so insensitive to the level of the neshama. But really, the neshama is supposed to be working on the guf that it elevates it. But then, at the time of Chiyas HaMesim, so then the neshama is going to be reunited with the guf, and it's going to put into it all the energy that man did by the mitzvahs that he did in his lifetime. So to the world, really, as we'd be doing mitzvahs, we'd be transforming the world into Olam Haba. But only because of the sin of Adam Arishon, it's not possible, and the world, so to speak, has to die, just like man dies, and then it's going to be Chiyas HaMesim, so the world has to be destroyed, and then redone, in a way that it's going to be the Olam Haba that we created by our actions during our lifetime. So he says that the world has to go back to Ovavo, it should be, lose its, we call it like, disintegrate. Back to the way it was before creation. During this interval that tzaddikim are ready for their eternity, but there's no world. So that's what the Gemara says. Hashem will make them on a level like angels that they won't need the guf. But that's not. They won't need the world. So they're in a transformation period. They're doing renovations on the house. They have to live someplace. So the people are already on the level of an angel, but without a guf. But that's not the eternal reward. The eternal reward is going to be with the guf, but with Olam Hazeh. But Olam Hazeh transformed into Olam Haba. At that point, they're not getting yet. Even when they're like angels, waiting, like the Gemara says, there'll be tzaf al pnei hamayim, al pnei hamayim, I think it says. So they won't be yet attain that true good that they're waiting for, that they're appropriate for. After the world has been in its destructive state, the time that the Supreme Wisdom has decreed, then Yashav Yechudash B'tzur Acheres is going to be reformed and renovated in a new form. Now, also fitting to what it's supposed to be for eternity. So he says b'ferish Kamat that this world is going to be transformed into Olam Haba. It's what the Gemara calls Chiddush Olam, the renewal of the world. So it's the same world, because it's renewed. It's not a different world. And that's the world that we created with our mitzvahs and masim tovim. The Yeshuvu Tzadikim, the Yeshu Yizkayim B'Bol Netzach, the Tzadikim will come and live in it, the Yeshu, and exist in it for eternity. Everyone's going to be enjoying the true good, each one according to his level. So that's Chiyas HaMesim. So tonight we learned about the redemption that he calls, which is defined as Yemos HaMashiach. Probably the word Gul is only referring to Yemos HaMashiach, but then he goes on to Chiyas HaMesim. Yemos HaMashiach is in this world, within the 6,000 has a mankind, which means Am Yisrael, the selective Am Yisrael, selective mankind, which is Am Yisrael, has to come to that perfection before any individual level of schar. It has to be a national perfection, and then after the world is whole, it's going to be through a person from Zerah David, Melech HaMashiach, and that's going to perfect the world both on a spiritual level and on a physical level, and will be on a level of Ruach HaKodesh, and the service to Hashem will be a perfect service. The Goyim, there's going to be a big selection at that time also, and those that are deserving to be destroyed will be destroyed at that time, and those not will also be serving Hashem during Yemos HaMashiach, subjugating themselves to Am Yisrael, and happy and glorified by the fact that they're able to serve Am Yisrael, knowing that that's how they're going to be getting Ha'ara, Kedusha from Hashem. After that, all living has to die. There has to be a Chiyas HaMesim, the transformation into the Chiddush HaOlam, and he says in the Tchiyah, everyone's going to become revived, and then the Rishon will be those who are to be punished and destroyed, and the Tzaddikim, each one according to his level, what he deserves. The world itself has to also undergo a transformation, which means that it's going to go to Tohu Vavohu, and then be renewed in a way that it can be transformed into the world that's Olam Haba, in a way we could be connected to Hashem on that level, and then each person is going to exist forever in the good that he has gained according to his own level.